Let's take a breath together. So how does one practice spiritual principle when they're feeling the pain of the Holocaust? And I was sitting back there in prayer and contemplation with just that, and tears began to come. Because I think the first thing we do is actually feel it. Because our human tendency is to not feel. As a human race, we are addicted. We are addicted to food. We are addicted to fun. We are addicted to busyness. We are addicted to anything that will change how we feel. Because we haven't learned how to feel. See, if we actually were raised to learn how to feel, the entire paradigm of humanity would be different. Because we're all raised, all of humanity, I don't care where you're from, what ethnicity you are, it's a reward-punishment system. All is based in capturing your attention and making you feel a certain way. All of which negates how you might actually feel. See, in order to get your dinner, you need to feel a certain way, because when you feel a certain way, you'll behave a certain way, and then I'll feed you. As infants, we cry to get attention. And let's face it, any of us that are parents or have infants in our life, it's guess your best. Right? It's the process of elimination. And I think that is the closest we get to actually being attentive to what one another feels. Because we don't know until there's some satisfaction from an infant that can't actually communicate any other way. Instead of supplanting our idea of what will make them better, they just keep screaming until we figure it out. Right? This whole... I'm taken back to a book that you can actually download for free on Google Books, The History of New Thought. It's written by Horatio Willis Dresser back in 1901. And in 1901, Horatio Willis Dresser says this: we now see that coming out of the war, and he's talking about this supplanting of one individual's ideas onto an entire society, that the only true justice must be social. See, we act like social justice is new. 1901. We now see that all true justice must be social. What actually created the Holocaust? Let's start there. Because most people will default to blaming one human being for the Holocaust. Stop lying to yourself. Hitler could have done nothing without the participation of everyone that participated. Hitler did not round up anybody. Read your history book. Hitler didn't do it. Hitler thought about it, and Hitler created an invitation and a portal for other people to enact it.
Come on.
Right? I suspect, and I can only suspect, because quite honestly, I have forgotten who even submitted all these questions. But I don't think it's a mistake that it lands on, how do I practice spiritual principle when I'm feeling the pain of the Holocaust, given the political climate that the United States of America is in right now, that the world is in right now. Because while we are headed into an election, it's not just here where people are supplanting their idea of supremacy onto other people. Because that's what we're really talking about. What we're really talking about is our human failure to stand up. To stand up and say, everyone matters, even if I don't understand them. Even if I don't like them, they matter. Every thread in the tapestry matters. The tapestry is woven together, one thread at a time, that creates a whole. And if you remove any thread, what begins to happen to the tapestry? It falls apart. The picture changes. The Holocaust happened because people said, okay, let's do this. Because supremacy was chosen over freedom. Freedom for me didn't have to include freedom for you. Because that's the operation of separation. That's the operation of spiritual ignorance. It's a small, tiny, infantile, weak, pathetic God that could only honor one aspect of itself. I mean, think about that. That we would mentally create a God that ordains slaughtering of itself. Maybe it's just me, but I don't see how that's possible. But that's what happens. It's happening right now.
Yes.
It's happening right now. There is lie after lie. And be really clear, that's how Hitler did this. He scared the citizens. He hooked into an inner terror that was put in since the beginning of time on the reward punishment. He so adeptly made society believe that they would be tortured if they didn't torture. That they would be the ultimate victims if they weren't the victors. He was incredibly skilled at the villain-victim-hero triangle.
Come on.
All that does is sustain the lie that there is some other power other than God.
Yes.
One power a triangle cannot create. I'm just saying. It can't. That requires three. What do we do when we feel the pain of the Holocaust? First, we feel it. Now, I can't tell you what to do. I could, I won't. Because you wouldn't do it anyway. You're going to do what you're going to do. What I understand in these teachings is that I recognize the lie and I stand up to it. That no matter what my family affiliation is, no matter what I was raised to believe, what am I looking at right now? What am I looking at? Most of you, because I've talked to you, just assume that I am this uber liberal guy because I am a transgender man married to a brown woman and I'm not hiding any of it. You have no idea. Because you assume you know. you don't ask. Okay? And if you assume your parents' affiliation and identity, you don't know what your own is because you haven't asked.
Come on.
You've just become a puppet of what you were raised with. Does it match your own values? Do you even know what your values are? And I'll go one step deeper. Do you even know what a value is? Have you asked yourself who you are? Because you cannot align with yourself if you don't know who that is. And that's what happened with the Holocaust. People aligned with a Savior. Save your house. Save your money. Save your life. Save your culture. Nowhere in there was save your identity because they ceased to have one. Viktor Frankl, and I cannot say the man's name without feeling. Viktor Frankl is my Holocaust guru. If you've never read any of his works, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend starting with Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl learned who he was in the hell of the Holocaust. He learned the power of choice that resides within him that has nothing to do with what happens out here and everything to do with what happens in here.
Come on.
Stripped naked, starved, physically dying, the only thing the man had left was his wedding ring. And they demanded it. And he paused long enough to get right within himself so that he was choosing to give it to them so that they could not take from him. Now, you may think that's just semantics, and that's easy to think when you're not standing there naked, starving to death. See, none of us get to decide what that was for him. We choose. And in this time that so desperately mirrors the atrocities of the Holocaust, we each get to choose. You can choose the status quo. You can choose self-righteousness. You can choose to be right. You can choose to make other people wrong. You can choose to mentally divorce yourself from the whole process like somehow you have nothing to do with it. But it won't make any of that true. We, creation, are a tapestry. Every thread matters, even the threads that you currently are choosing to hate. They matter. And they are as much God as you are.
Yes.
The difference is some people don't know that they're God. I was thinking about, and I had no idea why, and now suddenly it's relevant. Yesterday, I'm sitting on my deck, and the story of Moses and the burning bush just kept coming up. And the only part of it that was resonating was noticing that in that story, Moses said, "Who shall I say sent me?" And the only response was, "I am." It didn't say, "Tell them you are the I am." See, there was no duality in the response. Now, I am a Bible guy. I've read it at least 10 times, cover to cover. And it just dawned on me that the only response was, "I am." There was no duality in that response. There was no God talking to Moses. that gets eliminated with a response like, I am. And he asked it a different way, and the response was the same. I am that I am. Subtitled, you can ask it as many different ways as you want, but the answer is still, I am. Do we dare to know, to move from knowing about to knowing that I am? I am. That God, as you, is. We don't, in this faith tradition, we don't beseech a God outside of ourselves. The only place I can find God is every place. Every place. When I look at you, I see God.
Yes.
And if I don't, I got work to do.
Yes.
God as a spinning wheel. Because if it's all God, people, it's all God. There's nothing in that sentence that's negotiable. Nothing. Even the thoughts. I posted on Facebook. Those of you that follow me on Facebook, thanks for laughing with me. Yesterday I posted, Dear Comcast, thank you for another opportunity to love when every human part of me wants to hate you. See, my humanity wants to hate. Because then it doesn't have to feel. We are addicted to the drama of division. See, if I can separate myself from you, I don't have to give a damn about you. And I don't have to see God in you. And I can go on my merry way feeling self-righteous. And then when things don't work out the way I want, I know who to blame. I know who to blame now. Because I've already set you up on the triangle as the villain. And what I never recognize is that first I made myself the victim. That's what happens first. Is we make ourselves a victim. We disempower God as us as a worthless power. And give everything to a power outside of us that doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist. So when you feel the pain of the Holocaust, feel it. Understand that a part of you was there. A part of you was the Jew. A part of you was the homosexual branded with the pink triangle. A part of you was the guard. A part of you was the gas that filled the chamber. A part of you was Hitler. Own it all. Own the whole tapestry. Because when we do, then we can heal. We cannot heal what we refuse to feel. Because we are in denial that it even exists. God as you is powerful enough to heal every hurt that we feel, but only when we'll let ourselves feel it. Let's take this into prayer. With this breath, with this holy, holy breath, I recognize that there is one power, one authority, one source, one substance, one creator, one creation. And in that there can be no separation. There can be no division. There can be only one. I recognize that by whatever name I call it, it is so much more than my human brain can ever comprehend. It is beyond a name. It is beyond an idea that seeks to limit it. And it resides in this container, in this earth vehicle that I know as me. And what resides as me resides as all. From the tiniest grain of sand, from the most microscopic particle, to the cosmos, to the most visible mountain, all God. Everything surrounding everything, all God. And so I allow myself this moment to let that in. To let the inner self begin to inform the outer self. To choose to live from the inside out. Knowing that as I do, the outside changes. No longer trying to change the outside in order to change my insides. No longer willing to subject myself or this beautiful tapestry of creation to the lie of separation. I stand on the agency, the authority, the power of one life. Creation itself. And I surrender my humanity to be informed by that, to be guided by that, to be an example of I will be known by my fruits, not by my words, by my fruits, by the demonstration. I'm so incredibly grateful. Grateful for all of the wisdom teachers that have come before, that listened deeply to that I am, that wrote it down, that spoke it, that shared it, that moved it forward in the awakening of creation to the truth of its being. Grateful. Grateful for the activity of creation that simply acts, that will not be manipulated, that responds to exactly what is believed. And knowing it's already done, I can let go. I can stand in the belief that resonates with that inner being, that knows itself, and trust that its power is far greater than any manipulation the human me comes up with. So I let go. I let go of any idea of control. I let go of the fear that is back of the idea that I even need to control. I let go. And I believe what I believe, and I stand in the truth of my being because it is the truth of being. All being. And I trust that it is having its way. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is.